Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode review of Obi-Wan, Season 1, hopefully of 1. But we'll get into that momentarily. How are y'all doing this morning? This fine Wednesday morning, middle of the week, hump day. Oh, boy. Well, before I get into the wonderful world of Obi-Wan Episode 5, who's joining me this morning? Live. Jaeger Pony, Texas Attorney General Secret Agent. I haven't said, I think, many words this morning so far. I've been just working, so this is the first time I'm talking. Pardon me if my voice is still waking up. Funtime Bats, TF4X, Bridget, Non-Vitae Rex, Noah Asensio, No Name. Hello. TF... AORX. Are you a prescription? Is that what the RX stands for? A prescription of Tefau or the FAO Schwartz prescription? Should I go for that instead of... Anyway, I don't know. That's where my brain went. Because my brain certainly was not operating very well watching this episode. But let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so we open up on a flashback, which is honestly what I thought they would do when they were talking about there was going to be a rematch between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker. I thought, please tell me it's going to be a flashback, because otherwise it makes no sense as to what they said to each other in the episode 4 of the film series, A New Hope. At least that's what my thinking was before the series premiered. We finally get that flashback, and oh boy. So we're on Coruscant, which looks... I don't know, decidedly not Coruscant-y to me. The buildings don't look right for some reason. I don't know. They're just, something about it doesn't look quite right. Okay, so we have a younged down Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have a de-aged Ewan McGregor, which looks okay. I mean, Ewan McGregor kind of looks the same now as he did then, just with a few more wrinkles. And so they're going to have a little sparring match here in this... I suppose they're at the Jedi Temple, although this looks more like they're on Naboo. Or maybe they're not on Coruscant. I don't know. But anyway, so that is the... Okay. De-aging can only do so much. And, no guff to Hayden Christensen. But Hayden Christensen has decidedly grown far outside the boundaries of his teenage form. And I know, suspension of disbelief and everything else, but if you're going to go to the effort of de-aging somebody, I'm sorry, they did a poor job on this. He looks like a grown man. Whereas in episode 3, he was still, early 20s-ish. And, the forehead creases and, so anyway... So they start their little sparring match, and then we cut to Darth Vader on his Imperial Star Destroyer. Yes. And he's being approached by the third sister. Now, here she comes, guys. Here she comes. She's really intimidating. It is my great honor to be invited aboard, Lord Vader. Uh-huh. I am not interested in civilities. Where is he? Okay. So remember, last episode, Reva had surreptitiously somehow hidden Lola, the droid, in Leia's cloak without her knowing it the entire time, somehow, and also had reprogrammed it to be a spy, to be a tracking device. Well, purportedly to be a tracking device, but also apparently to be a spy and a saboteur, although that's never mentioned, but we'll get to that momentarily. Thank you, Officer Buck. Hello, Snibbles. Hello, Officer Buck. Good day, Governor. I'm British. Hello, hello. Say no more, say no more. I don't know what I'm doing now. Also, Mike Savage, Blarg, the useless cook. Hello. All right, so anyway, where is he? And she's like, they're entering Jabim now. Like, okay, so you have the tracking device on the thing, and you already know where they're headed to. And she has to come to tell Vader this. Okay. So he promotes her to Grand Inquisitor, even though she hasn't actually captured Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was getting ready to kill her last episode for letting them get away. But anyway, but now he's dubbing her the Grand Inquisitor, and he gives her this little badge and everything. And now she's the Grand. She's in charge of all the Inquisitors now, even though she hasn't actually completed her own self-imposed mission, and she's defied her superiors several times, and she attempted to murder her predecessor Inquisitor, and she interrogated a 10-year-old unsuccessfully. But okay, yeah, she's the Grand Inquisitor. Right. Okay, so anyway, they're on their Star Destroyer, and then our ship, our cargo ship, with Obi-Wan and Leia, is landing on Jabim, the way station planet of the Underground Railroad for Wayward Jedi. So this thing lands. I want you to notice something. I want to see if I can... okay. You see this kind of darkened shape over here? Okay, you see that? Okay, just keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind the space that it takes for this ship to land in this docking bay thing. All right? So it lands, and everybody's waiting. Everybody and their brother is waiting. All right? They're all whispering, oh my... Now, why are they whispering? Why are they all in suspense? The ship did not radio ahead to let them know they were coming or what their cargo was or anything. I don't know. Anyway, so Guy gets off, and then everybody's like, oh, thank goodness. They're all alive. Nobody asks about Wade, by the way. You remember Wade? Wade, the most important character of the last episode who died and it was all tragic? Yeah, as far as I know, nobody says, where's Wade? But anyway, they're all very relieved that everybody's still there and alive, even though the ship is flying itself, I guess, somehow. Anyway, and here's Droid. Remember Droid? Ned B? Remember that droid? Remember the long-standing emotional connection we've all had with this droid? This droid that Tala herself kind of dismissed as he can't communicate. And then the droid was the savior of pulling them off of the Darth Vader battle scene and the flames and all that, and never made any sense. Yeah, so he becomes important later. Just remember, this guy still exists. This guy still exists. And also notice, if you will, where are the aliens? Okay, somebody pointed this out, I think, in another video or something several weeks back, but on Tatooine, on the Reno planet, where are all the aliens? Why is this a primarily human endeavor in the Star Wars universe? I mean, don't get me wrong, humans were prevalent, but they weren't the only thing. And one of the hallmarks of establishing an expanded, a wider scope universe in the Star Wars movies was the prevalence and presence of alien species. But all we have here are humans. I think we see one alien later, maybe. But anyway, so yes, everybody's back. Tala reunites with her droid that she seems so close to. And in the interim, Con Man has shown up. I had nowhere else to go. Yeah, after inexplicably surviving an encounter with an Imperial Inquisitor, he just shows up. Now, why is he here? What does he add to this story? Well, the only thing he adds to this story is nothing, except to further a ridiculous plot device, and literally a device later on, but we'll get to that. Now I'm wanted by the Empire. Yeah, it's amazing that you're wanted by the Empire when the Imperial Inquisitor had you right there and could have just killed you, but didn't for reasons unknown. Anyway, so Obi-Wan is just standing around waiting for somebody to talk to him. And it's like, we need to get out of here. They've been waiting for months. Waiting for months to do what? The ship was prepped and ready to go. Are these all Jedi? They're not Jedi. Are they evacuating? Why are they evacuating? This place was secret. They've been waiting for months for what? We only have a few hours. A few hours until what? How do you know you have a few hours? For what? All right, let's hurry up. So now they're in hyperspace. Darth Vader's in hyperspace with his Imperial Star Destroyer. Remember his Imperial Star Destroyer, and they know where they're going. They put a tracking device on the ship, a tracking device that Obi-Wan and them have no idea was there. They have no reason to believe in the logic of this show that they've been followed. But they're hurrying. We only have a few hours. Lock down the facility. What facility? You haven't actually been to the planet that they've arrived at yet, but you know that there's a facility. You don't know what you're going into, but apparently they already know what to expect when they get there. How are they going to lock down the facility? And she says, if we seal them in now, they could hold out for days. Well, here's the thing. Okay. Let's say, and we'll find out momentarily that they can. Let's say you can seal them in. Let's say you do have the power to lock them down. Here's something that apparently the Empire forgets over the course of this episode. If you can lock them in, you can also unlock them. But we'll find out what that means in a second here. It is not them we need to break. So Lola, the droid, now activates. Right? Okay, so Lola, who's never been here before, who is now an overtaken droid, she's not being remote control piloted or something. She's just a bad droid now. So Lola wakes up, apparently getting a signal, I guess, from the Empire somehow, and she starts floating around, and Obi-Wan is reminiscing about more writing on the walls, and there's some inspirational messages on the walls, because as we know, it is a smart idea for Jedi to leave evidence of their passing. Anyway, the light will fade, but is never forgotten, says one thing. And I can't even imagine what the rest of this stuff translates to. I'm sure somebody will break that down eventually. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, yes, I remember when that kind of sentiment was true in me. I remember when I was an optimistic, faithful servant of the Force. Boy, those were the days. And then he finds a box full of lightsabers. I don't know if I can find the right frame. There it is. A box full of lightsabers. Okay, now, so the Jedi who came through here just gave up their weapons, I guess. A box full of lightsabers. And I'm sure some super nerd out there, because I'm not quite that super nerd, might be able to identify some of these lightsabers as belonging to particular characters. But anyway, so Obi-Wan finds a box of lightsabers, presumably lightsabers that Jedi coming through here just let go and gave up as they went on. What relevance does this have to anything? Now or in the future? None. Unless somehow it comes back in episode 6 of this series. Yeah, so anyway, he takes up this cloak, I guess. Whose cloak is it? We don't know. We never find out. Lola, in the meantime, has miraculously found a very specific control junction inside the facility. And it doesn't show it here because I can't fall in the right frame. But see this little door here? This tiny, tiny little door? Yeah, it opened it up and went in here. It knew exactly where to go. And what does Lola do? Well, Lola closes the basically the big garage doors. Right, the big doors that had opened up to let the ship land in here. Lola closes and locks those doors. What's happening? The controls aren't responding. It's not her. It's Vader. It's Vader? What? He'll attack next. He hasn't the patience for a siege. Why should he need a siege? He has control over the docking bay doors. But never mind that, we cut back to the sparring match, which is supposed to be the sort of symbolic, oh, what is Anakin's attitude? What is his temperament? We already know what his temperament and his attitude is. He's Darth Vader. But we need to cut back to them having a lightsaber fight in the past because reasons. You grow too aggressive, Anakin. Be mindful. Yeah, at this point in Anakin's career, when he's still a Padawan, this is before Episode 3, by the way. You see the little braid on the side of his head, and Obi-Wan still got his mullet. Okay, this is sometime either before or just after Episode 2. Now, I can't tell off the top of my head. He still has both his arms. Okay, so this is before Episode 2. This is before Attack of the Clones. This is supposed to be taking place before Anakin gets his arm chopped off. And Hayden Christensen looks like a full-grown man. But anyway, so... And Anakin's like, yeah, well, you're merciful, which is why you're going to lose. Okay, and then Vader is suddenly at the planet. Now, I want you to notice something. And I know this is a complete nerd thing to say, but I want you to notice how far the planet is from where they've come out of hyperspace. For those Star Wars nerds out there, I want you to recall to Empire Strikes Back, where Vader criticizes and then kills Admiral Ozzel in his attack on Hoth for coming out of hyperspace too far away from the planet, because it gives the enemy time to prepare for an assault. Now, this isn't information or knowledge that Anakin just suddenly had a revelation of in Empire Strikes Back. Anakin Skywalker was a general and or a commander, depending on the day, back in the Clone Wars. He is battle-tested. He has tactical and strategic brilliance. And yet here, when he's approaching his greatest enemy, his former teacher, and he's already worried about their quote-unquote facility being locked down or not locked down, which he has complete control over somehow, he comes out of hyperspace this far away from the planet. Now, if Vader didn't do this, if this was one of his subordinates who did this, he'd be killing him right now. But anyway, so they come out of hyperspace this far away from the planet, giving them all the time in the world to prepare, and he sends out two little shuttles. And I also want you to recall that Darth Vader, second only to the Emperor, shows up to capture Obi-Wan Kenobi with one Star Destroyer. All right, one Star Destroyer, not like 3 or 4, because why would the Empire ever do overkill? I mean, they sent 2, right, to try to find Obi-Wan and the droids in Episode 4, or at least the droids, but now they send one Star Destroyer. Okay, so anyway, Star Destroyer shows up, sends out 2 little shuttles. Now they know exactly where they're going. They know where the outpost is, the facility, thanks to Lola. They know the exact spot, right? So they just have to station themselves in orbit above the planet at that spot, that singular point on the planet, right? There's no mystery as to where the bad guys, the rebels, whatever, are hiding. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so anyway, Obi-Wan calls everyone's attention, and he's like, I understand that you're scared. If we try to fight them, we will not survive. But we do not need to fight them. Roken, how much time do you need to override the doors? Hold on. Can I find that frame? Oh, for gosh sakes. He says 3 or 4 hours. Okay, he says 3 or 4 hours to override the doors. And he says, you have 1 hour. It's not going to take 1 hour for those shuttles to get here, and somehow they already knew that the Empire had shown up. And they didn't question as to how the Empire could have possibly followed them. But anyway, you have 1 hour to override the doors. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours to override the doors. Why is it going to take 3 or 4 hours to override the doors? It should be a relatively simple mechanism in the grand Star Wars scheme of things. Anyway, everyone else, we're gonna. Why is Obi-Wan using contractions? I know, I complained about this in the last episode, but there was a very formal way that Alec Guinness and even Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels spoke. Didn't really use contractions like this or these sort of familiar type deals. We're gonna. It just seems so off to me. Anyway, so they're going to move it, people. We're going to lock this place down. They put a metal bar over the door and then weld it. All right, a metal bar over the front doors and weld it. Keep that in mind as well. Okay, so these two shuttles are coming down and they land and they're getting ready. Everybody's getting ready. Right? And then whole squads of stormtroopers show up on a set that looks like a set. Of all the sets that I've seen in this series so far, and even The Mandalorian, nothing looked more like a soundstage than this sequence. But anyway, so they're all standing in front of this one door, and they start preparing this big, like, laser beam battering ram thing. And then the next shuttle lands, and oh, who is it? It's the Inquisitor. So when Obi-Wan Kenobi is cornered, who is sent down? Reva. Why? Why isn't Vader here? Why isn't Vader doing this himself? What is the point of having Vader here if Reva is going to be put in charge? Why is Reva being put in charge of getting Obi-Wan Kenobi? Why is she even relevant to this at this point? Anyway, so they start trying to laser battering ram whatever the door. Okay, and so that's going to take some time. It shouldn't take any time, because those of you who have some knowledge of how doors and Star Wars work, when you have somebody standing in front of them with a lightsaber, might have a clue, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, they're trying to blast through the outside door, you don't say. Roken, we need the hangar roof open. Well, what's he been doing all this time? And he tries to start it up, and it doesn't work. That was underwhelming. Here's a thought. Why doesn't the Empire open the doors? I mean, you commanded Lola to close the doors. Why don't you command Lola to open the doors? And then you don't have to go through the front door. You can just land your troops inside the base, because they don't have any orbital defense systems. They don't have any anti-aircraft guns or anything, or else you guys would have been shot when you're coming down near the entrance. So just open the doors and land inside the base. But they don't do that. Why don't they do that? Horrible writing. Anyway, they're like, oh, why don't you go in and actually mess with the controls? And he's like, I'm a little too big to be crawling around in the vents. I can do it, says Leia, because, you know, when vital controls to your systems are needed to be accessed, you put a tiny door that no grown adult can fit through. But fortunately, Leia can in there. You know, Leia, who's also a technical genius, I guess, now, 10-year-old, I'm going to need a ladder. He's like, and then Obi-Wan has to convince him, like, you trust me? I trust her. What? Get a ladder quick, right away. So now Leia is going to save the day. And all of a sudden, Obi-Wan's cell phone rings. Remember Obi-Wan's cell phone? This is very, very important. Obi-Wan still has his cell phone. He still has his cell phone activated. And he's still receiving messages. Who could possibly be calling Obi-Wan? Anyway, so Leia climbs up and opens the tiny little door that could only be accessible by a child to begin with, and enters in. And Lola is nowhere to be seen. Just not there for now. So she crawls in there and starts messing with the wires. Obi-Wan goes off for some privacy and pulls up a message from Switch, Jimmy Smits. Oh, but Bail Organa. I know we said no communication, but your silence worries me. So, Bail Organa, man of political action and adventure over the course of decades, decides to break radio silence to send a voice message to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know we said no communication, but your silence worries me. If he's found you, if he's learned of the children, if I don't hear from you soon, I'll head to Tatooine. Owen will need help with the boy. Okay, so The super secret must protect the future of the Jedi and the galaxy, left in the hands of two men, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bail Organa. And Bail Organa decides to leave on a recording device the names and location of one of the children of Vader. You know, just because there's absolutely no possibility that other eyes than Obi-Wan Kenobi could be watching this message. Because you haven't heard from Obi-Wan Kenobi, so obviously it's just that he hasn't called you back. Not that he's been incapacitated, not that his cell phone's been stolen or lost or seized by the Empire. Oh, but this is very relevant, guys. This makes up everything that we need for episode 6. Just wait. So anyway, I pray you're safe, Obi-Wan. Letting anybody know that Bail Organa knows that Obi-Wan is alive and a conspirator with the Jedi and anything else. Anyway, so suddenly Obi-Wan is like, oh my gosh, yes, the boy on Tatooine. You know, the boy I was told to keep watch over and take care of, as Bail Organa was charged with taking care of Leia, but somehow I have to be the one to save Leia. He can do nothing. Anyway, so then in the middle of all this, Obi-Wan's like contemplating this notion, and then Tala walks in. Is everything all right? Says Tala. No, Tala, everything's not all right. The barbarians are at the gate. The Empire is currently breaking down the door to raid in here and kill everyone, and we're trapped. And is everything all right? I don't know, Tala. Is everything all right? Is now really the time for a heart-to-heart? Don't you have more important things to be doing? Maybe? No, is everything all right? It will be, says Obi-Wan. And then Tala goes into a speech, making up excuses for her involvement with the Empire. You know, I was following orders on Garel. What is Garel? Who? What? I was just following orders. And then she goes into this litany describing the terrible things that the Empire did, and she had no way to stop them. People not paying their way, taxes for the cause. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what the Inquisitors would do. 14 people died, and 6 of them were children. I couldn't do anything to help them. Hey, you know what? There's a whole bunch of people you could be helping right now who are about to be like slaughtered by the Empire, you know, in the other room. But you're here to have a heart-to-heart with Obi-Wan, right? She's got notch on her little belt for every Jedi she can get through. Oh my gosh. You're right, Ben, but you can fight to make them better. She said something to the effect of, some things can't be forgotten, but you can fight to make them better. What do you... Okay, again, why does Obi-Wan Kenobi need a pep talk? Why? Nothing... I know this goes back to earlier in the series, but I'm going to say it again. If something happened to shake Obi-Wan's faith in the 10 years between Episode 3 and now... If some grand traumatic event took place, we should be told it, because at the end of Episode 3, he's being taught how to commune with Qui-Gon. He has his mission. He's still Obi-Wan Kenobi. He sent out a distress message telling the Jedi that the time will come in the future, but that time is not now, etc. But between then and this show, he has lost all faith in himself, all hope, lost all of his abilities, forgotten how to fight with a lightsaber, stopped training in the Force, just a broken down whatever. And he needs a pep talk from a know-nothing Imperial officer. Anyway, so, yeah. They're trying to break through the doors. And he says, I don't know how long it's going to hold. We got a plan B here, says the guy. Tell the Inquisitor I want to talk. Are the people here in direct contact with the Empire right now? I must have missed that part where there was an open channel with the Empire. She started this when she kidnapped Leia. Yeah. So? Actually, this all started when, for some reason, the Inquisitorius and the Grand Inquisitor showed up on Tatooine, a backwater planet at best, to look for a Jedi that they inevitably let go. This all started with a completely nonsensical chain of events, but okay, and just went onward. He's requesting to negotiate, says one of the stormtroopers. Who told you this? How did you communicate with the people inside? You have an open communicate. Why didn't Obi-Wan do this? Why didn't Obi-Wan contact Reva directly? I don't know. But anyway, he wants to negotiate. So Reva... Oh my God. So Obi-Wan goes up to the door. This giant metal steel solid door. He puts his hand on the door for some reason. And then he starts talking to the Inquisitor. And they start having a conversation through this solid steel door in a whisper. If this is you stalling for time, it won't work. Lord Vader will have you at any cost. You knew who Vader was, says Obi-Wan. Yes, how did Reva know who Vader was? Vader would have kept that hidden. Yes, you're correct, Obi-Wan. The night of Order 66, you were a youngling, Obi-Wan suddenly decides. He killed the other younglings. Yeah. You didn't account for them all or anything. And then we'd flash back to Order 66 and Reva being, one of the little kids. She said that she hid amongst the bodies, played dead. Even though the flashbacks show us that Anakin was standing in front of her. So she played dead. Anyway, so they keep talking. You're hunting him, he says. Oh, so this has been a one big ruse, you see. Reva has been playing along, waiting for the opportunity to kill Vader this entire time. That's what this is really about, you see. Reva has been pretending since she was a child to go over to the dark side, to do God knows how many other atrocities, all so she can have an opportunity to kill Vader. You're hunting him, Obi-Wan declares. You see, guys, Reva's not such a bad person. She's chopped off some hands and killed some people and tortured others and threatened little children and all types of stuff. But, and killed Wade. She killed Wade that last episode. But really, it was all in service of eventually having a shot at killing Vader. Do you really want Anakin dead? Says Reva. And Obi-Wan's like, what? And she asks, where were you when everyone was being killed? Where were you? Oh, I don't know. I was on Utapau being attacked by my own clone troopers. And, they were trying to murder me. I was on a completely different planet. And I was being hunted by the very people that you're now working for. That whole thing. Where were you, Obi-Wan, when we were being killed? There was a war going on, you idiot. And I was fighting it. And then I got stabbed in the back just like you did. I was a victim of this whole thing just like you were. We were all victims of the Emperor. Do you remember that bit? Oh, but now I'm the bad guy? Okay. But here's the thing. I thought as soon as they said, oh, you saw him. You saw Anakin, so you must know these Lord Vader. I thought that in one of the flashbacks that they had, I can't fall on the right frame here, but they showed flashbacks of Anakin storming the Jedi Temple, right? And I thought, okay, is one of the stormtroopers going to refer to him as Lord Vader? No, he doesn't. So she sees Anakin Skywalker kill all her friends and somehow not kill her for reasons that make no sense. And still, somehow she knows that Anakin Skywalker and Lord Vader are the same person. Just somehow. She didn't see the transformation. She didn't see him get burned up on Mustafar. She didn't see him get fitted with robotics or anything. She hid amongst the bodies of her fellow younglings until she could escape. And so her only reference for Anakin Skywalker at that point is that he killed the younglings. And everybody knew he killed younglings. Everybody knew that he was the murderer. But him being Lord Vader is two different things. But somehow she knew that this still didn't explain anything. This was their lame attempt to explain how Reva could make the connection between Vader and Skywalker, but it didn't explain anything. Anyway, she says, I don't need your help in hunting Vader. I don't need anyone. You won't stop him alone, he says. You have no idea what I've done alone. He has some idea. He's like seen you do crazy stuff. But okay, you've done some terrible things, boy oh boy. And then she lights up her lightsaber and just cuts through the barrier. You know, that barrier that they were using, that giant laser cannon to try to get through this entire time? She just sticks her lightsaber through the door and cuts through the barrier. Yeah. Oh, why didn't you do that before? Why didn't you save us all this time and do that about, 10, 15 minutes ago? I don't know. Just why not? And still, why didn't you have Lola open up the doors so you could land inside the facility to begin with? Don't know. It's not. Anyway, so the doors open and Obi-Wan force pushes her back and he lights up his lightsaber. Now we have this giant fight where you have a bunch of civilians, a bunch of unarmed mostly, and untrained civilians up against stormtroopers. Now, admittedly, stormtroopers at this point in time aren't exactly crack shots or anything. So, of course, they miss almost everybody. You see a whole bunch of stormtroopers getting shot down. I don't know how many actual civilians you see getting shot down. Obi-Wan is standing there with his lightsaber and trying to deflect blaster bolts because he's still, out of practice. And so it's just this bang, 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 shoot, 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 bang, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. Run for your lives, says Tala. Run for your lives. Run away. All right. So then Con Man guy, who still hasn't done anything, he yells up at Leia, are you listening to me? I feel like you're not listening to me. Are you hurrying up? Would you stop talking? I'm a 10-year-old trying to do very difficult technical work in here. He said it was a red breaker. Red. Okay, where is it in here? Okay, does it happen now or before? I guess it was before. Okay, so because of the magic of not being able to fall in particular frames, I might have my timeline off, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, at some point, Obi-Wan goes up to Con Man and hands him... wait. That comes up. Sorry. I watched this once at 4 a.m., and so I don't want to give anything away before I get there. Anyway, so they're fighting, and then Tala single-handedly takes down a stormtrooper or two by herself, and they're fighting the stormtroopers, and she's holding them up. Then Tala gets shot. Oh my God, Tala got shot. You guys, Tala got shot. Oh no, Tala's down. Reva's like, wipe them out! Tala's hit and she's down. Oh my God, what's going to happen, guys? And the robot comes over. You remember the robot? And he's like standing in front of her and blocking a bunch of blaster bolt shots. And they're having a touching, heartwarming moment because they were such good friends that she referred to him as a loader droid who couldn't communicate with anybody. But then he became like their best friend somehow. Anyway, she's got blood on her hands. Oh my God. And so she looks back at Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, and then she holds up a thermal detonator. And she says, may the force be with you. And Tala sets off the thermal detonator and she explodes and goes boom and she's dead. Oh no, Tala, the best character ever. Oh no. She was such an inspiration. Oh no. So Tala sacrificed herself and here's Con Man guy. And Obi-Wan is like, How is Leia doing? She's working on it. Yeah, they're working to open up the doors so that the ship can get out. Okay, anyway. And then Vader all of a sudden, still looking out the windows and not actually monitoring anything that's going on the planet, he says, "Tell her to stand down." Now Vader wants to intercede. Then we flash back to the duel where we're still dueling and we're still like underlying the fact that, oh my God, Anakin is aggressive and Obi-Wan is trying to tell him to temper that with patience, and just like everything else. Obi-Wan's still confused, doesn't know what the hell to do. And he says, "I will give myself up." And Guy says, "I fought for too long. You can't just throw that away." Dude, you have like dozens and dozens of civilians, women, children, and men just waiting to get out of there. And this guy's willing to offer himself up. Can't throw that away. Okay. It won't make a difference. They want all of us. Do they? Do they, though? Vader wants me. If you surrender, she died for nothing. As in Tala. If I don't surrender, they're just going to slaughter us. We're out of options here because we've locked ourselves into this little corner with no escape plan. He'll keep coming. That's why I have to stop him, says Obi-Wan. And then Con Man guy, who, suddenly has a heart of gold, he says, "You'll be on your own." And then Obi-Wan hands the guy, can I find the frame? Please let me know I can find the frame. Oh, for gosh sakes. He hands the guy his lightsaber and his communicator. Obi-Wan hands the con man his lightsaber and his communicator. Remember that part in episode 2 where Obi-Wan's like, "This weapon is your life, Anakin"? Okay, so Obi-Wan hands over his lightsaber and his communicator to this guy. For reasons, there's only one reason, it'll come up later. And he asks the con man, "Look out for her, will you?" He asks the con man to look out for Leia, handing a con man a lightsaber and his communicator. Okay. And they're like, "You don't have a weapon." He says, "There are other ways to fight." So the stormtroopers are still picking themselves off the ground after being beaten up. And Obi-Wan goes out with his hands up. And Leia's still messing around inside with all the electronics. Because we need to know that Leia's still doing stuff, I guess. And then they bring Obi-Wan out. And they get him down on his knees. So Obi-Wan is again, "You're going to die soon," she says. Why don't you kill him?" "I'm bringing him to you," Obi-Wan says. He's bringing Vader to her. She was with him on the ship. She was with him at the Inquisitorius base. You're bringing him to her? What? He was coming down anyway. What? Anyway, he says there are families back there, women and children. Are you gonna let him do it again? Gonna? As in kill a bunch of children, because that's what she's all like traumatized over, watching Anakin kill a bunch of children. So he's kneeling there. And by the way, they're whispering all this to each other in front of these stormtroopers. They start conspiring back and forth about trying to take down Vader together. Look at the distance that they are one to another. And they're saying these things. I mean, we could end this together, he says. I can't fall in the right frames, of course, because, well, why would I be able to in this show? But they're having this back and forth where they're kind of whispering, conspiring to kill Vader together in front of the stormtroopers. Because that makes sense. Anyway, so they take Obi-Wan back into the base and the doors close. Remember the doors that she just cut open with her lightsaber? Right, look at this. Okay, here's the landing site, right? We're not inside the building. And then she has the stormtroopers take him back into the building and the doors close. And this looks like a hallway. This doesn't look like the landing zone where they were all like set up to fight. I do not understand what is going on here. If she cut through the... Anyway, so the doors close and we jump back to the flashback because they're still fighting. And Hayden Christensen does not look like a pre-Clone War Attack of the Clones teenager. It looks really bad. You know, there's a certain amount of disbelief I can suspend watching something like Better Call Saul, in that all of the actors have noticeably aged since their characters appeared back in Breaking Bad. But you kind of like let that go for the sake of the story because they don't try to hide it very much. They just go with it and it's fine. But if you're going to de-age somebody, man, spend some more time doing it. If there aren't some YouTube... I bet there's some YouTubers who are going to take a couple of these scenes and do a better job de-aging Hayden Christensen than Lucasfilm Disney was able to. Because look, that is not a teenager. That is not a soft-faced teenager pre-Attack of the Clones Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, Darth Vader shows up on his shuttle. He goes up. "Where is he?" he says. "I have him secured inside, my lord." Secured inside? 2 stormtroopers you sent in. Why did you put him inside the base? When you have a whole battalion of stormtroopers out here? Why? What? Okay, yeah, she just let Obi-Wan go, a Jedi Master with 2 whole stormtroopers, and then locked him away inside a base with a whole bunch of other people and God knows what. And then Vader's like, "I will bring him in." And then Obi-Wan is free. He like knocks out the 2 stormtroopers, if you can believe it, and then he runs away. Because that was a great plan, and nobody could have seen through that or think that that was silly. None of the other stormtroopers around might have thought it odd to send him back into the base with a couple of stormtroopers, unsupervised. A Jedi Master. Anyway, Leia suddenly gets attacked by Lola. Lola, who's been sitting here the whole time doing nothing. "Lola, what are you doing in here?" Aggressive chittering. And then Lola tries to like rush at Leia's face, and Leia grabs him and starts fighting with the droid. Where is it? I want to find that one frame. Come on. Okay, you know what? I'm going to... I need to show this for just how stupid it is. So instead of risking a copyright strike, I'm going to try to freeze. There we go. Okay. "A restraining bolt," she says, finding this little thing attached to the droid. And then she takes off the restraining bolt, and all of a sudden, Lola's better again. Ha ha ha! Ha! That's not how a restraining bolt works. A restraining bolt inhibits a droid from taking certain actions, and also allows the user to shock the droid into compliance if necessary. It does not reprogram the droid to then sabotage a rebel base. But hey, who cares about canon? No, the droid wasn't reprogrammed. A restraining bolt made it evil. Anyway, so then Vader is walking through the base, and Leia finally fixes the thing. Happy Beep laughs, and then the doors open. Okay, so the landing doors open to a singular point on the planet where the Empire has a Star Destroyer in orbit. Right? Something that the Empire could have done at any point right? If Vader had come out of hyperspace closer to the planet, they would have had no time. They could have opened up the doors, sent down some, assault troops, and been in there and had everything taken care of lickety-split. But apparently they lost the ability to do this. So now the doors are open. And everybody's like, yay, now we can get out of here. And then Leia comes down the ladder. She's reunited with Obi-Wan. Well done, he says. And then everybody's rushing to the transport. Now, let's get to the transport, people. I'm going to have to freeze frame on this again because I know I'm not going to be able to find it. So, Con Man guy is rushing towards the transport. Sorry, give me a second. It's so brief, it's so sudden, and it's so stupid. Okay, we're rushing towards the transport. And Con Man guy is running. Okay, this is really tough to see at first. Okay, and I know it's going to be even tougher to see on your screen there. But Con Man guy has dropped the communicator. Okay? He dropped the communicator. I hate this. I apologize. I just want to make sure I get this in the shot and shown. So he's running. He drops the communicator. There it is. And then somebody steps on it and it's like, cracks and breaks a little bit. And the guy keeps going. He just keeps running. He sees that he's dropped it. He looks back and notices that he dropped the thing, but he keeps running towards the transport. So Vader is marching through the hallways and suddenly he comes out and then the ship is taking off. The ship is taking off. Wow. And then what does Darth Vader do? He grabs the whole ship with the Force. He restrains a ship with its engines at full throttle with the Force and pulls it back down to the ground. When has Darth Vader ever been able to do that? When outside of Force Unleashed have we seen anybody able to do that? Why didn't he do this in Empire Strikes Back to bring the Millennium Falcon back? Why didn't he do this in any number of situations? But no, he pulls a full-sized freighter down back to the ground with the Force. And then he rips the side of it open with the Force. I mean, it's really cool. It's really neat. Wow, that's so badass. It makes no sense, but okay, he did that. And then, because I'm going to have to freeze frame again, this is the danger of copyright strikes and such, guys. Apologies. So he brings the transport down to the ground with the Force. I have to wait this long, huh? Okay. And he rips it open. But unbeknownst to Vader, oh my gosh. Sorry, it happens so fast and it's so stupid. All right, he brings the ship down. He brings the ship down. Slams it on the ground. Rips it open. There's nobody inside. It's empty. And then through the ship that he has ripped open, he sees another ship. You know, there was a second transport there the whole time, guys. Ha ha ha. And it takes off in front of him. It happens in like 2 frames. And I can't, oh my God, are you kidding me? What is up with this thing? I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep doing this, and I wish I didn't have to, but I have to. It's, oh my, how does this even work? I try so hard, everyone. Yeah, so this secondary transport suddenly takes off. You saw the size of this docking bay, right? Okay, so anyway, there are apparently two transports here, two full-size transports, and this was a decoy. And then when the second one takes off, suddenly Vader has lost the ability to grab the ship with the Force, even though he saw it. He was able to see it through the opening in this ship before it took off, but all of a sudden he loses the ability to grab the ship. All right, well, I guess Vader just failed in spectacular fashion. But hey, there's still the Star Destroyer, that giant battleship that's, oh wait, it's not in orbit around the planet. It's like 1,000,000 miles away. So anyway, this secondary transport takes off. We flash back to the end of the lightsaber fight with old Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Mullet Kenobi. And Obi-Wan eventually beats Anakin, of course, because, well, Anakin, you don't have all the answers, and you need to calm down, and we're still friends, ha 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 ha. And Obi-Wan and Vader's like, grrr. And then Reva comes up behind Vader. This is her chance, guys. This is her chance. This is her opportunity to get revenge. Revenge of the Jedi. And she starts attacking him with her lightsaber, and he just uses the Force to stop her because she didn't know that could be a thing in the first episode when the Grand Inquisitor did it to her to stop her from killing that Jedi. She thinks she's going to take down Darth Vader. A not fully trained youngling, after she's seen what Darth Vader can do, he was wise to use you against me. Oh yeah, Obi-Wan was such a schemer that he convinced her to come after you when apparently it was her idea and plan the whole time. That was the only reason she joined the Empire, was to have a chance to kill you. And she screams, and they quote-unquote fight, and Vader just totally toys with her, plays with her. He takes her down. There's just, you can't stop Darth Vader, and thankfully they don't weaken him here, because Darth Vader's still a badass. So he steals her lightsaber, and he shoves a blade into her gut. That happens in a second here. It's the same thing. She's defeated. He stabs her. Wow, okay, so I guess Reva's dead, huh? Oh, but wait, no. You'd think that. You'd think that, but we now know that they're planning a Reva spin-off series. So we know she couldn't die. I had honestly thought that she and Obi-Wan would have a lightsaber fight. I said that, I think, last week. Or to somebody else. I was almost certain. I was almost certain they were going to have a lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Reva. Well, I guess that's not going to happen now. Or probably won't happen now. Anyway, so Darth Vader stabs Reva through the chest. Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling? You are of no further use. And then who shows up? The Grand Inquisitor. Hello, third sister. Because how did he survive getting stabbed through the gut or the chest? We don't know. How could he have possibly gotten to this planet? Well, obviously on Darth Vader's ship. But then I guess Darth Vader was just holding him back for dramatic tension. I guess Reva did not sense her old boss on the ship through the Force this entire time. We wouldn't want to break continuity with Rebels, but we still wanted to have Reva stab the guy through the chest for some reason. So she was Grand Inquisitor for about 5 minutes when Vader knew that she was going to betray him the whole time, but he still let her operate up to the point of letting Obi-Wan go when he had the Grand Inquisitor just kind of, I don't know, in a closet on the Star Destroyer somewhere. Your rage, now it is tiresome. We will leave you where we found you, in the gutter. And they walk away, and they leave her alive. And then the transport is taking off from the planet. And they're all in the transport. All the eggs are in one basket. And then Guy says to Obi-Wan, our hyperdrive is down, and they're right behind us. Okay, so Reva, still alive, is reaching for her lightsaber, which Vader just left behind for no particular reason. Also, I might have missed it, but at one point this lightsaber was separated into its two individual lightsaber pieces. I guess Vader put it back together. Anyway, Reva's crawling on the ground, and she sees a sparking and snipping communicator over here. Oh my gosh, you remember the communicator that Con Man just dropped and left behind? The communicator that has the holo recording from Bail Organa on it? So she crawls over to... Oh, that happens a second. So Obi-Wan's up here, and Obi-Wan suddenly senses something's wrong. You know, because when he collected his lightsaber from Con Man, which I assume he must have, he didn't also ask about the communicator. Anyway, he senses something's wrong. His power in the Force now is so great that he can tell back on the planet that Reva has found the communicator. Reva finds the communicator and turns it on, and suddenly it's Bail Organa repeating, oh God, anyway, Leia, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. Something's wrong. Yeah. And then we zoom in on Luke. Okay, well, what I couldn't fall on the frame for, apparently, because this show is just mean to me, is that, okay, she turns on the communicator, and she gets a broken up version of the recording with Bail Organa mentioning Tatooine and Owen and the boy and hiding the children. So Reva's alive. She knows that there's some other child on Tatooine, and that Owen, the specific person that for whatever reason she picked out of the crowd in episode 1, is associated with this. Bail Organa and Obi-Wan. So now Reva knows effectively about Luke. She doesn't know Leia's association with Vader, but she knows that Owen is hiding a boy for Bail Organa and that Obi-Wan was there to protect him. And Obi-Wan has a bad feeling about this. And here's who's at fault primarily for this nonsense: the writers of this show, but also whoever is an editorial or who has any control or knowledge of the Star Wars universe prior to all this. They're at fault too for letting this get by. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But there you go. That's episode 5 of 6. I'll take a moment to take a look at what you guys have to say. And then we will wrap up. Texas Attorney General, Vader should have force grabbed the Falcon as it escaped Hoth. Yeah, you'd think. You think. Easy Mia's. I clapped when Vader rippered the ship apart with his hands. Vader did a cool thing and I clapped. No name. To be fair, Starkiller pulled a Star Destroyer down, but it was unpowered and gravity assisted him. To be fair, Starkiller was an anomaly, and it was also a video game. So, yeah. Yeah. I like the game Force Unleashed, the first one, all right. There were some things in there that I thought were just absolutely ridiculous. But even Starkiller had to struggle, because remember that took various stages to do. But anyway, it's so stupid. Sadistic Atheist, I came at this as an oldie who's only ever watched the original 3 movies. I saw them when they were released. All this new lore is confusing to me. Well, here's the thing. You shouldn't need any new lore Well, if you only seen the first three movies, then yeah. If you haven't seen the prequels, then a lot of things don't make any sense. But there's established rules in the movies that they break all over the place here. It just Texas Attorney General. So she will go protect Luke now, and we will get a redo of the OG trilogy with Reva beating Vader on the dark side, and then a squad of female fighter pilots will then blow it up to save the womankind. I don't know where this goes next. Okay, they have no hyperdrive. They're being followed by the Star Destroyer. Why would Reva want to go to Tatooine now? How is she going to survive being, stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber? I guess it doesn't really matter. Why would Vader leave her alive when he's got a guy standing next to him that survived being stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber? Bridget. I feel bad for all the OG fans. This is awful. It makes me worry for the Babylon 5 remake. Oh, I didn't even know they're doing that. Is Michael J. Straczynski involved in that? Anyway, oh my gosh. Anyway, guys, that's Obi-Wan episode 5. Obi-Wan is helpless, hopeless. Reva is immortal, I guess. Yeah, so the rumor is there is a Reva spin-off series planned for the future. And I have zero interest. I mean, I'm watching Obi-Wan because, well, it's touching upon those characters and situations that I'm familiar with. Disney and their one-off self-created characters and situations, I'm not particularly interested in because I have no stake in those characters. The Andor series is coming up. I'm probably not going to watch that. Or if I do, I'll give it one episode maybe and see how I like it, if I like it. But yeah, I mean, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. It's a disservice to the characters. It's a disservice to the franchise, the continuity, and logic. Yeah, Darth Vader is going to sit up in a Star Destroyer while his former master's on the planet and leave it up to a rookie Inquisitor who he just made Grand Inquisitor, which had no weight to it at all. Grand Inquisitor. The Inquisitors go out to do the stuff that Vader doesn't want to do. Okay, the Inquisitors are there to mop up stuff because Vader can't be everywhere, and the Inquisitors are sort of his secret police, right? The Gestapo, more or less. But Vader's going to sit up on a ship while his master's down on the planet below. The Empires are going to have the hangar doors open by themselves because Lola could do it for them and just invade the base from below, or invade the base themselves. They're going to pound on the door when Reva cut it open with her lightsaber in 3 seconds. Obi-Wan gives his only weapon away to a con man, and the con man drops something that Obi-Wan gave him, and he runs away without picking it up, even though he knows he dropped it. And that thing just happens to have a recording from a guy who knows something about secrecy and discretion, giving all the information necessary for the Empire to find Luke Skywalker. It's all very convenient. It's all very convenient, and it's all very terrible. So, anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to call it here. If you'd like to hear more from me by any chance, I'll be here tomorrow night, Thursday night, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of TED Excellence, where I'll take a look at another off-brand TED Talk for enjoyment and fun. I call it Funjoyment. And I'll be here next week, Wednesday, with the final episode of Obi-Wan, episode 6, where I'm sure all of this will make all the sense in the world at the end. But it won't. And another programming note, I will not be here for the Sunday stream this weekend. I'll be visiting my folks with Sister Scribe. So I might do something Sunday afternoon. We'll see. I don't have anything planned, though. I'll try to give as much notice if I decide to, but there won't be a Sunday morning stream for sure. But with all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for this latest travesty in the Star Wars pantheon. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Hope you all have a good rest of your Wednesday. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow night on TED Excellence. I hope you are all safe and well. And if you're not well, please get well soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.